Welcome to Real Talk Realtors podcast. My name is Cassandra Bradley, and I'm broker owner of Cassandra Bradley Realty. Today, I'm here with Tina Sheridan with GRB Bank and my team. And I'll start off with my girl, Rebe. Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Rebe Rudolph.
I'm Cassandra Bradley, broker and owner of the company.
I am Tina Sheridan, Rockstar Mortgage Mom with Genesee Regional Bank.
I am Kristen Blunt with Cassandra Bradley Realty.
Yes, and today we want to talk to you guys about what is important in the process of buying a home. One of the main things that's really, really important in this process, imperative, I would say, is the communication between your mortgage officer, which is the person who represents the bank, also known as the LO, and the relationship with the realtor. And I want to start off by talking to my girl, Tina, because we've been working together how long now, Tina?
What, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, so we're going on our 4th year, and I would say that we've been like 97% there. Yeah, like I feel like, we have to leave room for hiccups, and we're humans and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's been a nice run.
I remember when I met you, you were on the seller side of a deal that I was doing, and you happened to call. And again, there's not a lot of information I can give to the seller's realtor, but we hit it off.
I called you, right?
You did. You called me, and I'm really picky about who I work with as far as realtors go. It's real important that buyers put together a team that they're really comfortable with, because you could be you're looking for a house for at least, let's say, 60 days. Sometimes it takes years with some people, but you have the client's best interest at heart. You know the market. You're amazing. You were working for a whole other brokerage. And since that time, you've started your own brokerage and you have your own team. You're amazing.
Thanks, Tina.
So I'm picky about who I work with.
Yeah.
And you and your team are amazing.
Yeah.
And you do the right things for your buyers.
I love that.
And you get people in houses who never thought they'd have houses.
Aww.
It's great.
That's really a testament, though, because there's been definitely quite a few clients that have come my way, and it's a big controversy out there. People think that they really can't buy a home, or they doubt theirself, and I think part of the first thing that they need to look at is actually figuring out what steps they can take to get there. And that's where we come in and help them do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it is without a doubt a process. And so you sit down and you have that meeting and you talk through everything and what it looks like. And it makes that process, which can be very stressful, a little easier to handle.
So, Tina, I just want to interject because I want people to actually understand why I choose to work with you. There's also other mortgage companies that we work with, but I want people to understand the relationship that we have. So, oh Lord, how do I want to put this? I want to make sure I put this in the right way. Some mortgage officers don't go above and beyond for their client. And you can tell in this industry who's passionate about their career and about their job. And I'm very passionate about my career and my job. So it means so much to me when I'm helping people who look like me in these communities that felt like they could never purchase their homes. I'm helping them make the biggest decision of their life. So I want to work with somebody else who is just as passionate. I think that sometimes in this industry, especially mortgage officers who have been around for a while, and I commend you and I applaud you because you've been around for a while, not to be callous and to take every first-time home buy, like every person that comes across our desk that's buying a home, we have to understand, even though we've done this 100-fold over and over again, it's still their first experience. So I think one of the reasons why I really gravitate and work with you is because, number one, we have a great rapport and a relationship to where, girl, what you did, text me at 6 a.m. this morning.
Well, I texted
you text me last night. I was asleep.
I didn't text you till like 11:40. So I was like, "You still up?"
Yeah.
And then you text me. You're like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah. I texted you last night.
No, this
morning.
This morning.
No,
I wasn't. I fell asleep. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So it's, I like that. I love that relationship, because when you're a realtor, you don't want to, sometimes when you're hustling and bustling in the market, these offers are due. There's a time restraint on the offers. We only have so much time. So I don't want to wait Monday to 9 o'clock in the morning to ring a 1-800 number to see if I can get attached to the bank. I want a mortgage officer who's going to respond to me within a timely fashion. And, even when the market gets very hectic, because it will. Oh, it will, guys. We're just getting started. So when February and March roll around and we're out there and we're hustling and bustling, you always get back to me. And I understand we're busy, but you're always getting back to me within a 24-hour period. Like, even though I know, so I'm like, all right, Tina didn't get back to me in 6 hours. She must be doing something. But I know my girls.
Sometimes there's days like that.
Yeah. And even my team knows, because y'all know.
You guys pop up and I'm like, I got to answer that.
Yeah. So, you guys know, like, sometimes I won't, I need to take a day for myself, but I just love the fact that you're very responsive. And then not only that, you really want to see the client.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Get.
So the thing with me is, so I've been doing banking for 21 years. I've been doing mortgages for about 7.5 now. And I was a divorced mom 15 years ago when I bought my house, and I was in banking, and it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
I wasn't in mortgages yet, but it was so, being in banking, I think I'd get it. So, and I also have a degree in social work, and I never worked in that field.
Oh, so that's probably where your warm side comes.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and all
That's
my kids
awesome.
are grown up.
Yeah.
So my buyers become like my kids,
Mhm.
and you guys are like all my kids' ages, so I become like your mom. So,
Yep.
but no,
love
and so, and I'm a big believer. If I could buy a house, I'm a big believer that anybody can buy a house, and you're building equity, and I can't tell you how many women I've worked with, the single mom, who never thought she'd be in a house, and she is. Men too, but it's just kind of my soft spot. So it's amazing. I do love my job. I'm blessed, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I could probably say a huge part of my niche market that I've been experiencing, especially because I'm just this like laid back, sorry to any realtor that's like stuffy or anything, but I'm just like this laid back, fun, just like we're just being ourselves,
You
right?
guys
And
are
we're having
hilarious.
fun in real estate. We are.
Hilarious and gorgeous.
Thank
and
you.
knowledgeable.
And I think that a huge market that I've been noticing definitely has been single moms that do gravitate to my market or to my brokerage. And we've helped out so many. And I just thank you for like being there.
Mhm.
Even young couples too.
Young couples, single dads.
Yeah, we've had a lot of young couples actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's been wonderful.
The
Like
market
Jenna,
has
do you
changed.
remember Jenna?
Yes. She's amazing.
That's my baby.
She's a doll.
Yes. So I just want to hit over there with Dr. Real Estate over there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, because I heard you talking about a little. Well, first of all, Dr. Real Estate, do you want to introduce yourself a little more and break down, talk about your properties
Yes.
that you have, and didn't you have an experience with a mortgage company when you first purchased, and what did that look like? Before, obviously before you were a realtor, but
Right.
How many houses do you own?
I own one triplex and one duplex.
That's awesome. And you live in?
I live in one of the duplex. Well, I live in a duplex.
Okay.
So I'll start off by introducing myself properly. I'm Kristen Blunt with Cassandra Bradley Realty. I have 3 kids. I am a registered nurse. I work in the hospitals. I am a investor. I am a landlord. So I started off with my first investment property, owner occupied. So I moved into one of the units. I rented out the other side, which paid for my mortgage.
come on, somebody.
2 years
smart.
later,
Yeah. So smart.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just have to ask, you were killing the nurse game, right?
Mhm.
Killing the nurse game. That's my boo. Okay, 3 kids and an RN before 35. I'm okay, but killing that nurse game, right? And what made you say, okay, I want to buy a house? Like, what was that? What?
Honestly, I didn't think that I would go as far as I have, but nursing is very demanding mentally, physically, emotionally, especially in the times that we've been through recently with COVID. Um, and even though, we get paid decent money, like it's very exhausting. I was looking for some passive income.
Oh, so you be a realtor? Okay.
Well, that's how I got into
You're
investing.
learning out very quickly.
That's how I got into investing.
Okay,
I was
go
looking
ahead.
for some passive income.
Okay, gotcha.
And I became a realtor because I was looking to make my own schedule. With nursing, as I told y'all, I have 3 kids. So, and they don't go on the schedule for the
Oh,
most
they're not?
part. I have an 8-year-old. My daughter just turned 3 on
30.
January 6th.
She's really 30 though.
What?
3 going
3.
on 30.
Yeah,
She is.
she's 30.
3 going on 33.
Yeah.
My daughter. She definitely runs the house.
Oh.
Yeah. And then my son, he will be 2 on February 3rd. So got Irish twins, and it really feels like I have 8 kids instead of 3. You just threw me off. Okay, what was I talking about? Okay, so yes, 2 years after I purchased my first investment property, I purchased the duplex, and I moved into there as well. I rented out the spot that I was living in, and owner occupied in my current home as well. With this current house, I did go through some troubles with the mortgage company I was working with. They were outside of New York State, so they had a lot of different laws. Their bank fees were way more expensive than it would have been if I used a mortgage company in New York.
What made
and
you?
So I am a travel nurse, and most of the time banks are looking for a buyer who has 2 consecutive years of employment.
Mm-hmm.
So since I'm a travel nurse, I might take a month off, I might take a week off, I might jump to another agency.
So you were having difficulty getting local
Right.
banks to
Correct.
work with you based on the fact that you were having a few breaks
Right.
during that travel agency period.
Correct.
Okay.
And then also another hiccup was I had just got off of maternity leave. So I was about 4 or 5 months I wasn't working at all, like physically. Even though I was getting FMLA, like for maternity leave, I was getting the New York State payment. Like banks wouldn't look at that as
A lot of rules that we have to follow.
right.
That are
So
really
I was
important.
having a hard time, even though I had the money, I had the funds. You could see my bank account. I submitted you all of my paperwork.
Wow.
That was the first bank that I found that would actually work with me.
And we didn't know each other yet.
We didn't know each
But
other.
it
I
was-
wish I
And
did.
Tina,
travel
you can't
nurses.
wait to jump on in there and tell them what you can do. You better let them know, girl.
I love my travel nurses. So yeah.
Yes.
Good.
It's
So,
difficult.
so
It
you
was. I had
okay.
a rough time, and they were a lot of rules were different that my realtor was catching, and on the seller side was catching because they didn't know our rules. So I ended up my interest rate actually expired. So I ended up having to come out of money to pay more money because I had went past
Yeah,
the
past
date.
You had
the
to do
date.
a
I
fee
had went
extension
past the
for
date.
rate. Yeah.
Right. So it was definitely a
An-
struggle and an experience that I learned from. And now, I mean, that's just knowledge that I have now to tell to my buyers because I also work with a lot of nurses who are travelers. So
Definitely
it was
let
a
'em
good
know.
experience to go. I mean, not a good experience, but it was an experience that I learned from. So you could have helped me out in that situation, right, Tina?
Yes, we do work with a lot of traveling nurses, especially since COVID. That's kind of the way of the world,
Right.
So, but yeah, you've got fantastic experience to bring to your buyers. It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And what you've done in such a short period of time.
Correct.
You just amaze me.
Thank you.
Tina, quick question. So, as far as GRB goes, like speaking on the traveling nurses and what that looks like, obviously there could be a slight break in their employment. What are the guidelines for like GRB, and how would you deal with something
Yeah.
like that if that was on your plate? What is realistically what that looks like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we still need to follow the regular Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, which are the big umbrellas and under which the mortgage rules follow. We do have portfolio mortgages that we do
Okay.
where GRB owns those mortgages, and sometimes we could skip over one of the rules that Freddie or Fannie might have.
Yeah, because it's in-house, so
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to travel it down to that last underlining
But
underwriter or
we'll use those a lot with like small business owners or whatever the case may be. I know I did one in the beginning with the traveling nurse. She had a longer history, at least 2 years of being a nurse, but her traveling nurse was a little less. So we were able to do that one on portfolio. But now we're able to do it under the regular guidelines. We just have to look at the
so it's
history.
So it's a piece. It's a customer by customer thing.
It is. Oh my gosh! And every buyer's unique.
Yeah.
So, but we work with the traveling nurses all the time.
So you're saying that if the traveling nurses hear this podcast, then they can call Cassandra Bradley and we can get them situated with you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
good.
if we can't do it this second, then they'll know exactly when they can.
What we can do to get it set up.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Talking more about mortgages. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Now, Reby, didn't we just have a little transaction where we were dealing with some things? It wasn't GRB, but we do work with different banks. And like I said, again, this podcast is talking about real realtor talk, and that's involving yourself with people who are accountable and you have always held yourself accountable, Tina, right?
Yeah.
And we try to leave room for human error during this process because we are human and there will be mistakes, but it's about being accountable and still getting our client to the finish line. So Reby, I know me and you have a really tough file right now. Did you want to, you don't have to talk, too much into it, but do you want to just shed some light on what you've seen and what you expect from a mortgage officer and what you know what I mean? Like what you're experiencing.
It's right to pick the right mortgage officer because of timing and deadlines. Everything is time sensitive. So the situation that we're currently experiencing is that because of the delays and going back and forth with underwriting and everything else, that now our deal is at risk for a time of essence. And so,
And what's that mean?
So pretty much when the contract, it has the right to be canceled because of not following the
Which is not going to get to cancel.
Yeah.
Because Cassandra Bradley Realty, we ain't going out like that. But we do have to apply pressure right now, right?
Exactly.
We were always applying pressure, but
Yeah.
So that's the seller saying you guys are taking too long.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, that would be really, if it actually happens, it would be unfortunate for the buyer because, they absolutely want to get in their home, and to be told that you can't get in your home because you ran out of time or the bank wasn't moving fast enough to have that closing date, that's very disappointing. Yeah.
So when we did reach to the mortgage officer, and I think that this happens, and this is like everybody full aware. So first of all, in every real estate transaction, it's like 20 people inside the transaction. And when I sit down with my buyers, I like to tell them that we are the babysitter. Excuse me,
I like
project manager.
Yeah.
But really, I like to tell them that we're the babysitter and we're the one that holds the deal together, right? We're contacting Tina, we're contacting the lawyer, we're contacting all these different people that are involved. And I think that what's happening with this particular deal is, and this is not an excuse, but this does happen when we get closer to the holiday times, right? When we're getting into that Thanksgiving and that Christmas and that New Year's time, we got to be realistic with ourselves and with our buyers, and at least setting the right expectation that, listen, this is really a 30-day to 45-day process. Closer to 45 days is we're working with a loan. But however, we're getting into the holiday time and we just need to be realistic. If there's 20 people inside one transaction, you're going from the LO to the processor to the underwriter. That's 3 people with the bank. Then we got both attorneys on both sides. Then we got both realtors on both sides. Then we got the surveyor, the appraiser, the title company, all of these different people inside a deal. It is very possible that these people will go on vacation for the holidays, and if 2 people or 3 people out of the deal go on vacation during that time, we could realistically expect for our closing date to look possibly a week or two after. Now, I think that we're far past that with our deal, Reby.
Yeah.
So, now there's a lot of pressure that we've actually been applying since the first. And one thing that I definitely don't like that has been happening with, like I said, another mortgage, and we're working through it. The deal is still going to close. I have faith that the deal is going to close. I've closed hundreds of deals before. But my concern is the not being accountable. And every time that we ask for something, there's always an excuse instead of just being accountable and saying, hey, listen, I mean, I think there was like people were out of the office and someone was sick. Then one of the things I really didn't like is the buyer contacted me and told me that they had provided a paperwork to the bank over 3 times. So now it's past the human error aspect of it, right? Because you could miss a paper once. Maybe you could miss a paper twice.
But 3 times?
But we're in
But
2025.
the pit bull come out when you miss it 3 times. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she
But
not.
what I had to do as the broker, especially now because, and this is hard for me guys, because I'm like a slight control freak. Like shut up, Chris. I like to control a lot of things. And now that I'm the broker, I really have to delegate. And then God is giving me the wisdom to really understand, is it worth this fight? So the old me would have been, what? And my blood pressure would have been going and stuff like that. And now the new me is more like very to the point, hey, what's going on? And I don't have to say too much.
They can hear it in your
What's going on?
But the fact that you're involved with all the gears that are turning during the mortgage process,
Yeah.
all you guys, not all not all realtors are involved.
Yeah.
Once they get their buyer in contract,
They're gone?
They
Yeah, they
a
don't
lot
do
of them
that.
Are gone. Oh yeah. Oh,
Now, I hope if our listeners are out there and they hear that and they have dealt with a realtor that has worked with them in that way, we are very hands-on over here. And how our team really works is I'm definitely have that shark, not a snake, a shark. It's the difference. That shark personality where I like to be the mother hen. If there's something that's going wrong, I will wait, hold off. And then when it's time for me to step in, I'm definitely going to be that person to step in and to correct everything. And, I have realized over time that personality type doesn't work for everyone, but I'm so appreciative of my team because I do have the moms that originally are nurturers. Like Kristen is a mom of 3, Reby a mom of 4, right?
Yes, 4.
Yes. And so I really appreciate you guys for coming in where I'm weak at and making me stronger and just cradling our clients. And Trelisi is not here, but she's a superstar when it comes to that. And, that's really what it takes. So, even though we're behind track with one of our buyers, me and Reby, we have great communication with the buyer.
on top of it.
We know exactly, she knows she's in a comfortable spot and we still have communication with her, letting her know what, every step of the way. And she's okay with that. Like you've talked to her, right? And she has a good head on her shoulders. So it's her and her family that are getting the property. But, I just shot a text to the loan officer and I said, look, the listing agent is on my ass, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to get hit with the time is up. I already knew we were going to get hit with a TOE.
Yes.
I knew it already. And before the listing broker said anything, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So I told him, I told him we're getting hit with the TOE. And then what happened? Like 2 days later, they emailed and said, if we don't get TOE, then we're going to cancel the deal. So how the time investments really works is you have a deadline that you're supposed to close by. You have a closing date. And when that closing date is not met, the other party whatever party it is, if you're the buyer or seller, you could call for it. So the other party called and said, if you guys, don't close on this day, we're going to serve a time of essence. So they're going to serve it when, Rebe? Next week?
Next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going to serve it next week. The thing is with time of essence, you still have 10 days after the time of essence to deliver the contract. We're literally in our final stages with underwriting. So I think that I really truly believe we're gonna get there, but it's just a little embarrassing. Not so much for us because we are holding our buyer together and she's fine, but really embarrassing for the bank and the loan officer who represents that bank.
Yeah.
And what happened during that time? Like, where was the disconnect? And so that's why I really, really love working with you, Tina, because the accountability is always there. And I don't know how many, we've gotten lots and lots of people into their homes and they've been happy and they said great, wonderful things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Rebe, how old are your kids?
So, okay, yeah, I didn't really properly introduce myself,
Yeah.
but again, I'm Rebe Rudolph. I'm a licensed real estate salesperson with Cassandra Bradley Realty. I have 4 children. I have a set of twins that are 2. Then I have a 9-year-old. Then I have a 16-year-old.
Woo-wee!
The thing about it is, so I've always been around real estate because my mother and my parents were involved in real estate. My mom has actually been a broker for over 30 years. And so they were involved in like the investment side of it. Grew up hearing a lot of stories, especially about like being a landlord and just the stories and the headache that comes with that was just, it was a lot. But I was blessed to be around that. So, I just, having my twins push me into real estate even more. I tried to get it like some years ago, but I don't know if I was.
No, you did
serious.
that, Rebe. You had them twins and popped out with that real estate license. You better tell these people in this podcast who you are.
It's hard. Studying.
Cut
is
it
hard.
out.
Those kids are busy, and then I have all boys. I have 4 boys. So
You got all boys?
Bless you.
Ooh.
they are busy.
mom.
They are
Boy
aggressive. Boy mom. But I got that. It kept pressing on me, and I feel like it was probably the Lord just trying to guide me and tell me that I need to follow this path because it will allow me more freedom for my kids. And ultimately, that's really what I needed. So I'm, even though I beat myself up, like I should have been got into this, but I'm like, everything happens for a reason. The time is right now. But yeah, so being the mom really pushed me into real estate and being an agent.
Yeah, so you were in an uncomfortable situation, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then you worked your little way out of that.
Yep. And I on another note, I'm also a notary and I have my master's degree in public administration. So
Say that then.
I was working in charter schools for about 10 years. I've been in education. I've been like a substitute teacher, but I also work on the operational side. So I've been a director of operations at a few charter schools. And so I was working working for people for a while, working for schools. It's nice. It's beautiful. I love building relationships with people. And that's why I feel like I probably should have been a social worker too, because of the type of personality I have.
Well, welcome to being a realtor. You're a social worker.
Yeah.
You're a social worker now. You're a friend.
But then when I had them twins and it got to be, having to pick them up because they're sick or runny nose and having to keep leaving a job, and it just start not making sense. And I'm just like, I need to push for entrepreneurship because it just wasn't making sense anymore. But I love the schools. I love working with families. Love working with kids. So that's kind of my niche that I bring to the team is that I have experience working with families, working with educators, and a lot of people feel like they can't get a home, and I feel really sad about that part, that a lot of people feel like they can't get it, but they don't know.
Right.
Rochester needs us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And you own your home, right?
I actually don't. I actually don't.
Oh.
I actually don't.
Then that's okay.
Yeah. So
She's about to.
Yeah.
Because she's around everybody else that does.
Yep.
Trelicia does. I do, Kristen
Yeah,
does,
yeah.
Felix does.
My time
We
will
all
come
do.
soon.
And so she's about to.
That's
Because
right.
you surround yourself around
Yeah.
people that you want to
Exactly.
be like, right?
Exactly.
You
So,
guys
yeah.
bring a lot of real world experience to your buyers.
Oh,
It's
yes.
fantastic. They're like family.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because right now Trelicia is killing it. She's not here, but she's really just like my lead buyer's agent right now, and I got to give her shout outs. That it's just so wonderful to see her blossom and grow. I think that when all of you guys came over to my brokerage, there was how I want to put this. Normally, me being passionate scares people a little bit. It scared a couple of other agents. They were like, yeah, no, we're not going to be over there with you. But it was like talking to Trelicia and telling her like, hey, this is my vision and this is what I have. And just to see that she really received everything. And she was just like, no, I see your vision. I'm with you. And, just to see her grow, she's got her OSHA license, and I know that when she's out with her buyers,
What's that mean?
something that has to do with construction. It's like a certification of construction, like a handy woman. She could put a few things together. Now,
smart.
don't play with
Very
Trelicia
smart.
Young. My girl could do a couple
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just like literally seeing all of her little. She used to work at she used to work in the mortgage department. So seeing that aspect come through of her career, the OSHA license come through, which is even making her such a stronger buyer's agent. It's just like really wonderful to see everybody, blossom in that way. So
What are you guys running into with buyers as far as common challenges when you meet somebody?
Them not wanting to bid
Yeah.
Now, how come?
because a lot of sellers or listing agents are listing their house at a certain amount, but their goal is to make at least another 50,000 over. So they're like, well, why would they list the house at 200,000 if they really want 250?
because that's the market.
Right. So but it's a challenge that I'm facing right now. Like,
And you're going to get past that because soon you're going to be able to look that buyer in the eye and say, listen here, Missy. It's
I'm already
250
doing it.
or
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Right.
Because it's either you're going to, right now, it's not changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not changing. It
market-
hasn't changed. I've been doing this 7 years
Right.
and the market has been the same way for basically my whole career
Mm-hmm.
of real estate. Yeah, we have our little dips in the fall. Prices come down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's pretty much a level.
Yeah,
Right.
but the delayed negotiations, that started in COVID.
That started, but 6 years ago
Yeah. Yeah.
when I came in.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 6 years, so a good 1 year I had, but the delayed negotiations definitely came in after COVID.
Right. And
But
I remember when I bought my house, so a million years ago, 15 years ago. and you went in and you looked, and
Yeah.
you put in an offer.
That's
and I was
not-
the first one that put
no.
in an offer, and then we negotiated, we came up with a price.
No.
That's not how it works. How's it work now?
So here's the thing. In the last 6 years, I did see the highest dip this fall as a listing agent. I did see that. I had properties listed in October and November, and they were taking 20 and 30 days to go under contract. It wasn't 7 days. The market did
And
dip
that's
slightly.
still fast, though.
Yeah, it's
20,
still
30 days
pretty.
is still fast.
Yeah, it's still pretty good. And we were still seeing 20 over, right? That was
20,000 over
20,000
asking.
over. Yeah. So 2 or 3 properties I sold during that time. No, it was more than that. It was like 5 or 6 that I had sold during like October and into November. I was seeing 20, 30 over, but it was just different. I wasn't seeing that in the first 7 days. Everybody wasn't scrambling, right? This is Rochester. So it's going to be a little bit slower. People are now getting into packing holiday time and their mindset is around that. But your serious buyers are still out there. There's just not as many.
Right.
So the market did slightly switch up and I was seeing, and the prices were still dropped because I sold a house on Matilda Street and during the summer that would have looked like maybe 215, 220 and we got 190. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did see the difference. But now that we're coming back in and now that these grants have been applied and thousands of buyers are out there with the home buyer dream, which you have, Tina, right? They're even doing the home buyer dream Home Buyer Dream Plus.
Yeah.
So that's anybody.
Wealth builder.
Wealth Builder. That's
Yep.
anybody below 115,000. That's a lot of people who could qualify.
The wealth builder is people whose parents never owned a home.
Wow.
So, and then the income limit goes up higher. I believe it's 120% of the average median income. I'd have to double check on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
So I expect that that what we're going into is going to be a hectic market, just like it's been.
I feel like it's starting.
It's already started. It's already started.
Yeah,
It's already started.
the offers. There's a lot of people,
Especially if the
multiple
house
offers.
is priced. So back to, because I'm a listing agent, so I do it myself. So I already will know that a house will sell for 150. But every market is different. The market in California is different from Rochester, which is different from Buffalo, which is different from Syracuse, which is different from Maryland. So you, as a great agent, it's about knowing your market. And what I try to teach my agents is knowing the market and how to talk to our buyers so that they're understanding how to bid. And we do a little bit of good cop, bad cop at our brokerage, right? So me and Kristen have done it. Me and Rebe have done it. So clearly I'm the bad cop. Yeah. So we do good cop, bad cop at our brokerage. And like I said, I am more of a direct person and more of a just get like Nike and do it. And when we're working with buyers, when it's their first time experience, sometimes they have to be cradled. So for instance, me and Kristen had a client. We probably saw... It was probably like 50 houses total.
Wow.
That we did with her.
That's a lot.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Over how long of a period of time?
6 months.
Wow, that's a lot of houses.
Yeah, she was very... I'm so happy we closed with her though, because that's my girl.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That's my girl. But she was definitely... she was giving us a run for our money. And, you know, there was a time where I jumped into it first and I was working with her. And then I stepped out of it for a second, and then I allowed Kristen to work with her, who's like a different personality type and just whatever. And then we wind up closing with her later on down the line. But I think it's just good to have that experience, like at our brokerage, being able to, you know, get best of the both worlds. I think that sometimes when I take myself away from my expertise away from it a little bit, buyers sometimes appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you have a great reputation in the real estate world.
Yeah.
So I know
Thank you,
I
baby.
talk to, so I work with other realtors, obviously, but I know whenever I say I work with the Cassandra Bradley team, they're like, oh, Cass, oh, she's great. She's fantastic. She knows her stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's been wonderful. Like I think I said this earlier, just watching you become a mentor to all these strong, wonderful, young, mostly women, Felix.
Right. Oh man. So you know what also we could talk about is I wanted to hit a little bit about inspection.
Okay.
Inspections and how that works and what we're doing in our brokerage to get our buyers under contract.
Because inspections are almost like a thing of the past.
Oh, yeah. And it's a
Inspections are for the
huge
buyer.
contingency.
Yeah.
Which is, for everybody that doesn't understand what a contingency is, it's a really hard bump in the road that you have to get past. So before this crazy market, before COVID happened, the normal thing, Tina, you can explain actually what how the normal way was to submit your offer, right?
Right. And I would always tell people when I sit with them to go over the closing cost estimate, I always said that there were 4 upfront costs that you pay for: your appraisal, your earnest money deposit, the homeowner's insurance, and the inspection. I don't put inspection in there anymore. So now there's only 3 upfront costs because when you're going in and you've got a ton of people that are putting offers in,
It's hard.
everybody else is waiving the inspection. So it is difficult. So how are you guys dealing with that with
Thank
the
you.
buyers?
I'm so glad you
Yeah.
asked that. So it depends. If we have a really aggressive buyer that is actually listening to how they should properly bid to win, how we will go about doing the inspection is, instead of actually writing the inspection inside of our contract, what's happening now is you'll see that people are doing the delayed. So there's 10 days, sometimes 7 to 10 days that the property is on the market
Right.
before we can even make an offer. So we're pretty swift. We normally get out there, we get out there way before the offers are due. We show our clients the house. And let's say, for instance, Kristen is out with a client and maybe she's showing 5 or 6 houses. And the client's like, I want this house. I want this house. I want this house. I want to try to go for this house. And again, it's very important. The client understands how to bid properly to win. This only works for the client that wants to win the bid, that's seriously bidding correctly and understands the market. What we will then do is we will do a private inspection as long as there's not any notes in the multiple listing service that says cannot perform inspection, as long as there's no guidelines saying that we cannot perform the inspection, we will actually do a private inspection with our buyer beforehand, before we even make the offer or anything, so that we understand what's wrong with the house, so that when they're making the offer on the house, there is no inspection contingency because it was already done privately
And
between
that's
us.
Genius, because so many people in the business.
Yeah.
That inspectors that'll come
Yes.
and go walk around the house with
Right.
them.
Right.
That's amazing.
And then there's also different levels of inspection. Obviously, the numero uno inspection is going to be your full-blown engineer's inspection, which I tell my buyers, that's anywhere between $300 and $500. So, we basically have, depending on if they want to know everything, that's fine. But if they just want to know if the meat and the bones, the meat and the potatoes of the property are proper, right? Which is the roof, which is the foundation, the furnace, the hot water tank, the major ticketed items, we want to make sure that those are covered. Yeah. And so if we make sure those things are fine, then we can proceed with just moving forward with the offer. So,
looking out for the buyer. It's amazing.
And I prefer, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to hear anything later on.
Right.
I want my buyers to get an inspection. And that's part of, my learning experience, because there have been buyers that I have worked with that haven't. And there's been some things that they've had to fix as homeowners. So I would just say that overall, I'm so glad that we had this chat today, because I want people to know what it really is when we're out there, how to bid, inspections, what to look for in their mortgage officer.
Developing your team.
Yeah. What it is to work with our team. It's going to be fun, right? I want them to know that. I want them to know that it's going to be a hard experience because if it was easy, what?
Everybody be
doing it. So it's not an easy thing, but I just want everybody to know, especially in the inner city in Rochester, New York, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you look like. I don't care if you're blue, purple, black, fat, white, skinny. I don't care. You're accepted at Cassandra Bradley Realty. We take everyone and we will work with everyone. And yeah, did y'all have anything any last little things that y'all wanted to hit on?
I think that when buyers are looking for someone to represent them, it's important to make sure you have a, connection with the person, because if you're moving through the relationship and because a lot of times some buyers they treat
unsure.
You like you're untrustworthy, or they're skeptical of you, or like you're a used car salesman, so the buyers have to be a little more trusting, I feel like, sometimes, to allow, professionals to guide you through the process. You have to be everyone has to be trusting of each other to smoothly go through, because when you're not, and you're dealing with that resistance, that's when you have a lot of issues throughout the
Yes, Rebe, that
Please be
is
trusting.
such...
Yeah.
You know what? I have to just interject real quick, because that is something.
It's huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is something that I really want to touch on. I'm a very personable person. And I'm a very relationship. I vibe off a relationship. So instantly, when there's a disconnect with my buyer, I can feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and my personality calls it out. Because I want buyers to understand this is not, I just take a key and open a door for you.
Yep.
That's not what a realtor is.
Mm-hmm.
A realtor for the next 3 to 6 months of your life is your friend, is somebody that's helping you make an extremely important decision. And if you don't, so here's the thing for me. I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm a realtor doesn't mean I'm a human being. I'm functioning off of morale, off of emotion. So if I have a buyer that I know, you know what, and here's the thing, no buyer is just going to come out and just 100% trust you.
Right.
No person is going to do that, no matter if it's real estate or not, or whatever the situation is, right? But if it's like any less than 50% of you trusting me, I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is how do you expect a realtor to get in their car, use their gas, not get paid? Because let's talk about it. We don't get paid until the very, very end. Not that this is important, but this is real talk, realtor talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are people. We have emotions. We have emotions just like y'all.
We have bills to pay.
Yeah, we got.
Right.
Yeah, well, they're getting paid, But the real thing about it is, I don't want to feel like I'm just taking a key and opening a door and there's no rapport and there's no relationship. You know, like I feel like there's a relationship. I want there to be a relationship between me and my buyers, right? And if there is, if they are acting like that, then we need to understand on realtors how to break that ice and not be scared to break that ice.
Right. We actually gained a client by that relationship. We hosted a few open houses. Remember?
Oh yeah,
We hosted an open house on Maple.
And what did you do, Kristen, when you kept seeing this buyer come to our open house? You called him out, right?
I called him out.
What did you say?
Because he kept saying he's like, oh, I'm still working with this realtor when we had one open house. The next open house, oh, I'm still working. I switched to another agent because I wasn't really feeling the last one. Like, we've been trying to tell you this whole time to come over to Cassandra Bradley Realty. So by the third time that me and Reby was hosting an open house, he came through and he was like, you know what, you right. So he came over, he signed down with the team, and we finding that house for him. We built that rapport. We have a relationship now.
Yeah, you did a really good job with building rapport with that client, Kristen. Yeah.
So and then now he bringing his family on over to Cassandra Bradley Realty. So that is very important. And I feel like our buyers presentation that we do prior to a realtor signing on with us is a important part of that, because we get to learn each other. Like, I see, how your personality is. They see how ours is. And by the time it's over, we've already discussed what you're looking for in a home. We've explained to you how the process is going to look like for these next 45 days. And by then, they feel comfortable with us. And I would say we have about 100% of doing a buyer's presentation and having, our client actually commit to working with Cassandra Bradley Realty. So it is very important to build that rapport and that relationship to make sure that you mesh, because like you said, we are friends we can catch up with you after the close and after that too, but I'm saying that is important, like while you're actually going through the process.
Yeah, I think the buyer's presentation is really important. I understand that so many agents are out there and they're just going out with a buyer and not setting the expectations. Yeah,
Not a relationship.
it's a transaction, not a relationship. And here at Cassandra Bradley, we do what? We build relationships. So Tina, thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And I want to just shout out to one of the local superstars in Rochester, Ashford Films, Kyron Ashford. I thank him so much for doing this podcast with us today.
Big Kyron.
And I hope that this reaches Big Kyron. Okay,
Not
not
the
little. Just kidding. And I hope that this podcast reaches the viewers that it needs to reach. And feel free, any of you guys, to reach out to us about any questions or concerns that you may have about home buying. And I can't wait until we do the next one, Kyron. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.